we're trying to cover a lot of topics, for this particular segment. Okay, I was totally knocked off of my perch. Anyway, anyway, we've got a number of things that we want to talk about. One is the passings that we've had with a number of individuals. I should say, actually, two main individuals in our Black community. One is James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones was a very prominent figure. Some people will know him from Star Wars. Some people will know as the voice of CNN, and other folks know him as just an actor and a somebody who's worked in the theater. Do any of you have any memories of James Earl Jones?
Absolutely. To me, James Earl Jones. I'm a little bit older, so to me, he's always going to be Darth Vader.
Okay.
And so that voice is always going to be, to me, Darth Vader, and then later on, Mufasa, the Lion King. And
right.
So, but no, it's just it's so many other things. It's an iconic voice, an iconic person, and so our sympathies go out to his family, to everyone who knew and loved him, and he will definitely be missed.
He definitely will. Sharon, did you have anything?
No, again, like Caleb says, that I'm going to remember him in, Mufasa to being Darth Vader, but also like Raising in the Sun, Driving Miss Daisy,
right?
Those type of, especially Broadway production. And his voice was the voice that made you stop. It's kind of like, Darren,
right.
You just stop. Because you did something wrong.
Well, let me ask both of you a question real quick. Do you think that CNN will change their "This is CNN"?
They shouldn't. I hope they don't. I definitely hope they don't.
Not for a while. I hope not. Not for a while.
Yeah. Hey, CNN, if you're listening, we hope that you don't change it. Leave that as a memory to James Earl Jones. This is CNN. I love that. The other person that we lost this week was the beloved Frankie Beverly. And I believe that, man, if you got your black card, Frankie Beverly has to be part of your arsenal.
Yeah, if you haven't seen one concert by him,
right,
it's kind of like you're not invited to the
picnic.
Oh yeah,
Frankie Beverly was really, really great because Frankie Beverly, I can remember being in high school when a friend of mine, Michael Madison, had brought the album Frankie Beverly to actually it was just called Maze at the time. And he brought that album to me and he said, these guys don't use any kind of synthesizers or anything. They're just going to play what they've got, the instruments that they have, and so that they can duplicate it on stage. And to me, that was a big deal because this was the time when everybody was looking for different types of sounds, and you would look at the electronic sounds to be able to usher you into knowing and having new sound. But Frankie Beverly resisted all of that, and it served him very, very well. Even when he didn't have a new album, he was always somebody you were going to go see and sing along with all of them songs.
Oh, yeah.
He was the king of old school.
Yeah, he is definitely, he's in my rotation and remains in my rotation.
So he's going to be missed. Wasn't he an honorary resident of New Orleans? Didn't they make him like?
He might have been, because he was actually from Philadelphia. And I don't know. At first, I think they thought he was from San Francisco. I can't remember who the band was or who the group was or person out of the Bay Area who first put Frankie kind of on the map. So everybody thought they were from San Francisco when they weren't. So there's been a lot of things, a lot of myths about Frankie Beverly that needs to probably be cleared up. We do know he was from Philadelphia, but other than that, miss you, Frankie. Going to miss you, and hopefully, maybe your band carries on and brings on a new person that can be the front person but hopefully maize will still continue. Hopefully maize. We want to get to a new topic, which we want to talk about international news. Caleb is our international person, and Caleb has brought to us some fascinating news about what's going on around the world. And Caleb, if you want to tell us about what's happening in Egypt and around the world, we'd appreciate that.
I will try to remain as calm as I can be talking about this. So, I was scrolling through my newsfeed the other day, and I saw that the United States had released $320 million to the Egyptian military. And so of that $320 million, $95 million had to be signed off on personally by Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. The release was contingent on Egypt being certified that they had not violated, that they were in compliance with all human rights statutes. And so if you know Egypt and you know Al-Sisi, you know that is not happening. But the U.S. released this. And so this, to place this in context, you have to understand what's going on right now. Of course, what's been going on in Gaza with this new discovery of tunnels next to the Egyptian border, and the United States needing Egypt as a regional power and needing Egyptian influence with Hamas and with other players in the region. So you placing this in the context, you kind of get an understanding of why that money is released. Now, what has me livid is that at the same time this is happening, or prior to this happening, Egypt has deployed or basically sending more than 10,000 troops toward the Ethiopian border. And so, and Ethiopia has responded by mobilizing their forces and sending them toward their border. So the potential for a clash between Egypt and Ethiopia is extremely high right now. There has been continued tension between Ethiopia and Egypt over what is known as the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, which is also known as GERD, which is a dam that Ethiopia built in their own country that Egypt is adamant about destroying.
And why?
Because they are paranoid. First of all, Egypt thinks that they own the Nile. And then there are multiple countries that the Nile transverses, all these Nile River Basin countries. Egypt thinks that they own the Nile. The Nile actually originates inside of Ethiopia. The majority of the waters that flow through the Nile actually come from the Blue Nile, which is located in Ethiopia. So Ethiopia has built a dam, which is going to bring power to not only to Ethiopia, but it's going to bring clean, reliable energy to that region. So this is a dam that's going to power industrialization for Ethiopia, Uganda, Kenya, South Sudan, Somalia. It's going to be a boon for those countries' economic development. Despite this, Egypt wants to destroy it because they're paranoid, thinking that this dam is going to restrict water flows into Egypt through the Nile. However, Egypt has guaranteed that they will not restrict those water flows. As a matter of fact, Ethiopia has slowed the filling of the dam and filled the dam in stages so as to alleviate any concerns that Egypt may have over this. Despite their best effort, Egypt has continued to threaten Ethiopia. So
is the dam in Egypt or Ethiopia?
It's in Ethiopia, deep inside of Ethiopia. It's in their own country, built by their own folks with their own money.
But Egypt want to go over there and
Egypt wants to go over there and blow it up. And so this deployment of 10,000 troops is concerning. And so the question is, why would the United States release $320 million directly to the Egyptian military when the Egyptian military is on the march toward a conflict with Ethiopia? And so again, you have this issue where there's just so many racial undertones and dynamics that are at play here.
Let me stop you there for a second. Did you have any questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay, I want to ask, it seems like the region has an awful lot of activity going on in different little pockets. And when I say the region, I'm talking about Africa in general. You've got what's happening in I still consider Israel and all of that being part of Africa, you know. But my point is that there's so much going on, and there's different factions of things that are going on. I've never heard so much conflict on one continent over so many different various things. Am I exaggerating, or is that true?
No, you're right. I mean, it's a complex situation, and just like a lot of other parts of the world, there's conflict. Not just conflict. The only conflict we hear about is, of course, Ukraine, and we hear the other conflict in Gaza, and of course, you know why. And so, but you don't hear about the multitude of conflicts that are taking place in Africa, and there are a multitude of conflicts that are taking place right now.
So, Caleb, it sounds like to me that the U.S. is making this kind of little messy because of them sending money to Egypt to do whatever. And I don't know, you say what they're sending money for, but is that the public stance on why they're sending the money
there's no public stance. So this money, they've given money directly to the Egyptian military since Camp David. They've given money directly to the Egyptian military and to the Israeli military. And so this is part of the Camp David Accords. Okay, so after those accords, Congress did implement a teeny tiny restriction about having to certify that they are not in violation of human rights. But in this instance, certification in this instance, it's traditionally been almost automatic. Okay, in this instance, once Al-Sisi took over, they've kind of gotten a little bit more stringent about certification. But since they need Egypt's assistance, they went ahead and certified that they are in compliance with not violating human rights within Egypt.
But they really didn't check.
No, they didn't check. They didn't care.
All right. And then what human rights would for our audience, what human rights would not Ethiopia, but Egypt. What human rights would they be in violation of?
The president, Al-Sisi is a dictator. He's a brutal dictator. He tortures his own people like it's free. He tortures any kind of ethnic minorities. Their torture chambers are full of dissidents. There's no civil rights. There's nothing. It's full of journalists and any kind of dissidents, and it's full of Muslim Brotherhood. No. So they are definitely not in compliance with this restriction on this human rights certification. But again, it's just, I've never heard of a situation where you have an army on the march towards war and the U.S. gives it $320 million. You understand what I'm saying? So to me, it's like, they don't care that this army was marching towards war to fight against Ethiopia. And so you have to take a look at this from multiple standpoints. One, was Ethiopia sold out on behalf of Israel? And so you have to ask that question. The other question you have to ask is, these African countries, South Africa, one of them, and many other African countries who joined together, who went to court against Israel in the ICJ on behalf of the Palestinians, when the other Arab nations wouldn't do it. So where the Arab nations were cheering at that time, where are they now? Where are they vocal? How, you know what I'm saying? Where are they saying, Egypt don't do this? You know what I mean? Egypt needs to stop. Egypt doesn't do this. That's the question.
Let me ask you a question real quick. Didn't Israel ask Ethiopia to take in the Palestinians?
So,
and they said no.
So, what it is that Ethiopia has a long tradition of this is a whole other conversation about Ethiopia and their Jewish heritage and how Israel has asked them to take back a lot of Ethiopian Jews who have found a home in Israel. But there has been different movements to
But we're talking about two kinds of Jews, right? Now, I mean,
you're not going to get me in trouble.
You're talking about two types of Jews.
You're not going to get me in trouble.
The Messianic Jews and the ones, I guess, who are indigenous who are the real Jews.
I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to get in trouble. But I mean, you have to understand this racial dynamic. This conflict between Ethiopia and Egypt has taken on a racial undertones with a lot of the Arab nations backing Egypt and the African nations backing Ethiopia. Well, this has a chance to become a wider conflict between Arabs and Africans also.
So as we close this out, Caleb, let me ask you this question. What difference should it make to Blacks in America?
What difference does it make? I mean, really? And so this is the deal. It should make a difference to every Black person globally, because as long as we let them pick us off one by one, we will always be the prey.
Okay.
And so this is the deal. This is all about what I've always preached about, which is Black unity. And so there's many instances where you see what happens if we don't stand together.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So they're going to destroy this dam, which is going to result in the deaths. It's a dam that's 90% full. It's going to result in the death of millions of folks. This thing is going to release floodwaters like we've never seen before. It's going to kill millions of people in Ethiopia and South Sudan.
Wow.
Destroy flood crop, cause famine, hunger, all kinds of stuff. It's going to destroy plenty of infrastructure. The oil wells that are in South Sudan are going to be destroyed. It's going to completely destroy that country's infrastructure.
We're going to have to leave it there, but very interesting discussion, and thank you very much for enlightening us on international affairs. The next subject we want to get to is one that's been very, very hot in America, which was the debate that happened on Tuesday night.
Yes.
Between
September 10th.
September 10th, right before September 11th. You know, hey, you had the Republican candidate, Donald Trump, and you had the Democratic candidate, Kamala Harris, meeting for the first time. Anybody want to weigh in?
I know that Trump's worst night was being on the stage with a Black woman. Because if you look at just how when they were shaking hands, he didn't know what to do. You can see that he did not want to do
He was running from her.
Yeah, he was running.
Yeah, he was trying to get to that podium.
She was trying to go in front of the podium, and then he decided to go back. She turned around and went in back of the podium to make sure she could meet him.
So, but you know, I'm just going to say, Vice President Harris won that debate. Okay, but I'm just totally amazed that Donald Trump isn't sat down. You know, he is the old. His mind is the most feeble one right now, to where he's talking about Haitians eating cats and dogs. He's talking about all kind of stuff that really doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And the way he's behaving is the same way the Republicans condemn Biden as behaving.
Yep.
You know?
And I got to tell you, I'm a Democratic supporter, number one, but I love the entertainment that Donald Trump brings. I mean, I turn it on just for the entertainment aspect.
It's scary because if this was any other person, you would have to set them down and be like, look, I need your keys. You can't drive anymore. We don't want you cooking anymore. You know what I mean? So
we don't want you going out the front door.
Yeah, we got to put locks on the front door. I mean, if this was any other person, but here you have an entire party who is not only just, these people have gone out now and are trying, every time he says something that's ridiculous, they go out and try to prove that it's true or real. They actually, I think it's Christopher Rufo is actually offered money if anybody can provide proof that Haitians have eaten their pets. You know what I mean?
I want to say something about that also. Because of that comment from him and J.D. Vance, some schools had to be put on lockdown because of bomb threats.
Yes.
So what's coming out, this is the case where what comes out of your mouth means something.
Absolutely.
And whatever, it triggers somebody or somebody's up in Springfield to go out now and threaten these people.
Yep.
When you've got interviews with business folks who are appreciating that the Haitians are up there doing the job that needs to be filled.
Yeah.
So I've always did say, I think you and I have had conversations with it, that what we're seeing to me with Donald Trump is really a national issue of elder abuse. Because if he was my daddy, my granddaddy, I would not have allowed him to go out on a public stage. And he's just losing it.
Yeah. There's got to be signs somewhere in that house. There's got to be signs. You know, I mean, him walking around at night. I know he's sundown and he's probably walking around all night and seeing people and talking to people. There's got to be signs. I mean, it is elder abuse. It's abuse from that party who's supposed to continue to support him.
Well, let me ask about this. Bracketed Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. You have the endorsements of Liz and Dick Cheney. And then on the back end, after the debate, you've got Taylor Swift. And both of those endorsements, or all of those endorsements, are major. Okay?
Right.
Are major.
There is I don't know if you saw the cartoon with Dick Cheney standing alongside Liz, and he said, "Joy." And she said, "Okay, Daddy." You said it. But those two endorsements, well, those three endorsements, but the two from the Cheneys, that sent out a signal to Republicans who may have wanted to change that now we can go ahead and do what we can.
Right.
Go ahead and vote.
Right.
Because as I don't know if you read Liz Cheney's book yet, but she is very, very adamant the danger that Trump will present to this country.
Right.
So that sent out a signal. That sent out a signal.
That was huge. I know we had touched on a little bit about this the Republican permission structure and how Cheney is basically the godfather of the Republican Party. And so when he gave that permission, I mean, that was the ultimate nod to go ahead and to let them know it's not just the younger folks that are the younger Republicans that are coming out saying, you know, now you have the godfather of the Republican Party saying, no, go ahead, because this is bigger than some of those other issues. We may disagree about taxes, you know what I mean, or tax code or what the upper bracket of tax, you know, we may disagree on, but this is about our democracy. This is national fundamental security to our nation.
And if you think about what you just came out talking about, what's going on in Africa, how would Trump handle that situation?
Them are shithole countries.
Versus how would Kamala handle that situation? And then you got Taylor Swift. Now I've been telling you guys, if she comes out, it could it can really influence. He has like 458 million followers.
It is ridiculous.
So even if 40 million, only give her a thumbs up and say, we can go ahead and vote. And then I'm hearing that college campuses are also they're setting up all kind of stations to sign up vote.
Yeah.
As we close out,
I think that I read that instantly she registered 45?
I heard. I don't know what the number was.
Registered instantly,
right,
to vote.
I heard
that. Because at first I was like, okay, Taylor Swift, her fans aren't old enough to vote anyway. But then when I saw that massive registration push, I was like, oh, well, maybe I stand corrected. You know what I mean?
And possibly some of them may be the parents of the follower of Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Which really, honestly, if you are the parent of a young girl, you should be voting for Trump anyway. Because again, you should not.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because these people are, it goes back to bodily autonomy. And do you want these folks tracking your daughter's menstrual cycle, which is what they're proposing in Project 2025? Do you want them tracking her menstrual cycle? Do you want them, like it's just in the room with her OB, you know what I mean? And so do you want, if God forbid something was to happen to your young daughter, a coach, a mentor, or whatever, would you want her to have to carry the term?
Let me say this. I heard something that was very interesting. Somebody said, you've got Clarence Thomas,
Mm-hmm.
who talked about his wife hanging the flag outside their home and him saying, well, she does. I ain't got no.
I can't control her.
I can't control
her.
But yet and still,
Right.
you want to control these women's bodies. Okay?
Right.
So, you know,
I heard that. Like, treat us like you treat your wife. You
Right.
can't control us.
Right.
You know what I mean?
He's still mad at Anita Hill.
Right. Look, I got one more thing to ask you guys about before we close out, which is, did any of you see the Tyreek Hill incident?
I did not.
No.
Okay.
I heard about it, but I hadn't had a chance.
Okay.
Go ahead and give us a date.
Tyreek Hill last Sunday was on his.
Oh, when he got thrown down on the ground by the police.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was on his way to play for the Miami Dolphins, and he was, I think, very, very close to entering the stadium, and they stopped him in his $250,000 car, and the police officer had tapped on the window, and so he rolled down the window part way. He said, "Don't tap on my window, okay? Just give me my ticket so I can go, okay?" And they didn't like that, so he rolled the window back up. They tapped on it again, you know, and said, "We need you to like give us your driver's license." I don't know what it was or whatever, but at that point, now they're opening up the car door and they're pulling him out of the car. Okay. And they got him on the ground. He's shouting, "Hey, I just had knee surgery. I just had knee surgery." You know, and he's getting ready to go play a game. So, you know, I
saw that video.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's kind of like, well, going back, you got policemen's union, a major supporting Trump, which is kind of ironic.
Mm-hmm.
You've got policemen supporting a felon.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like, who does
that? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw the video on that. I just didn't click.
Yeah. It's Tyreek Hill, and his question is, what if it wasn't me? What if it was somebody else?
That
you know?
person be dead.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or, I mean, you know what? And I admittedly, I didn't see the video, but I'm just going by what you just told me. And so, he rolled down the window and he said, partially, that just give me my ticket. You know what I mean? I don't know if that sets the foundation for a good interaction.
And he said that. He came out and apologized. He said there's some ways that I probably could have acted a lot differently to make this situation go a different way. He said regardless if I was speeding or driving reckless or whatever, he said it was no excuse for them to pull me out of the car and tie me and handcuff me and put me on the ground and do all of that. But he said, yes, I probably could have done something different. Look, we've gone this has been the longest hot topic we've ever done. I do think it's been informative, and we talked and got to hit a number of subjects. But want to give you a chance to have last word if you want.
You know, the world is changing. The world has changed quickly. So I encourage everybody to stay on top of the news and think about it and how this can affect you directly or indirectly, because all the events that are happening do hurt in some ways. Maybe not direct, but it does affect.
Caleb?
Yeah. No, just I really just touch base on your last question to me about the Ethiopian thing. So again, if we don't stand together, we're gonna fall apart. So we have to stand together in this country, around the world. We have to stand together, one voice, one people, one. You know what I mean? And so yeah, definitely just want to focus on unity.
I want to echo what Sharon and both Caleb had talked about when they spoke about unity. I hope that we can do a show called The Absence of Black Wall Street. And you can fill in the name of the city, San Antonio, wherever, or the absence of Black Wall Street, and what we must do to be able to come together to be able to do that. This has been Contemporary Black Voices, telling our story, our way, And we hope to see you next week. Thank you.
All right.
That was 30 minutes.